Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone as we get to ride home with you in the afternoon. It's always a lot of fun. I appreciate the emails. Continue sending emails to Donna at donnasedge.com, Donna at donnasedge.com. You can find us syndicated on Abundance Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You can also find us on the podcasters, thenewscasters.com, and continue watching social media. Been meeting a whole lot of new folks here in South Carolina. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Definitely appreciate that. And so a lot of folks are just picking up the Facebook thing, and that's fine. Any way we can get you to listen, facebook.com/D Feazell. Again, thank you so much for watching. I have a very special guest with me right now. She has an ongoing segment, and we love the segments with Julia. Julia, you got a podcast going on. You got it going on, girl.
I do. I have so much fun making my podcast because it's every day, and it's been a year and a half of every day recording and editing and getting that out there for everybody. It's called Life After Breath, and it's literally about how to live your best life and then taking a few moments to breathe together and get your day started in the best way possible. I know that there's a handful of people that use it at the end of the day to get their best rest possible. And that works too. Yeah, just whenever you need a little bit of like calm from the storm, let's say, of daily life, you just pop that in. It's always under 10 minutes, except for Sundays. Sundays run a little bit longer. But it's great. I love it so much. And I actually checked my stats recently, which I don't usually do. I have people listening in Iran. I was like, what? I have regular listeners. Like I have in different, 45 different countries and all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I'm so excited. So just goes to show when you never know how far your reach is. So it's really exciting.
Yes, it's fantabulous. And another thing about that is if people don't understand English, well, then there are so many things you can get on the internet, change it from English to whatever language it needs to be. So, and we do too. We've got, it's shocking to me. And
me too.
Who watch, from other parts of the world.
Yeah.
And it's exhilarating. It lets me know I must be doing something right. And I know you are. I know you're doing something right.
And I think so. And you too.
I know you are. Yeah. And so much fear is out there. And the fear is from what we don't understand. Different things in the world that are happening, and we don't understand it. So we got a lot of fear to it. But if we'll just dig and do a little bit of investigating and that kind of thing, it takes the fear away.
That's the thing is, and that that whole thing about not believing everything you hear or not believing everything that you read on the internet. Don't fall for the little pop-up headlines, because dig a little deeper, because there's so much access, and that means there's also so much misinformation on both sides of the coin from all around. And I heard somebody say once recently, I may have said this last month, but I think it is so important. Worrying is literally like praying for something bad to happen. And because you're putting your focus on a fear of something that hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. We can fear it when it's here if you need to, but it hasn't happened yet. So let's not put our fear there. Oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Let's dream and not nightmare.
I love that. Let's dream and not nightmare.
Yeah.
Both my grandmothers were just absolutely fabulous women, except for one thing. They were constantly worried. Now, one of my grandmother had two babies that died at childbirth. And then, of course, she had my mother, and then she had her brother, years later. And so she was constantly worried something was going to happen to us. So we would go spend some time on the farm, had a big pond, and she would say, now don't go out in the pond, you'll get drowned. She would say that all the time. Right. And I'm scared of water. I'm afraid to take a bath. I may drown in the bath.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's interesting because when you say stuff like that, and even when you say things like I'm overwhelmed or I'm stressed or this is stressing me out, What are you claiming for yourself? Is that what you want? Do you want to be overwhelmed? Then why would you own that? I am whatever. I am are the two most powerful words in the English language because you are literally inviting whatever that thing is. I was working with a client and she was telling me, like, I knew I was going to be stressed. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. You knew you were going to be stressed or you were feeling stressful, like emotions right then? And she was like, no, I knew it was coming. And I was like, then you chose to follow that path. You chose to be stressed out. You didn't, that wasn't your reaction in the situation. You saw something coming. And instead of knowing that you are a strong, amazing woman and powering through it, you decided, I'm going to be stressed out by this. And when I'm stressed, these are the behaviors that I follow. Do you know what I mean? And it, when you pull back a little bit from whatever situation you're in and ask yourself, do I want to feel that way? Am I claiming it for myself, either while it's happening or before it's happening? Likelihood is you don't want to feel that way. And that means you get to choose not to because you're in control of your thoughts, of your emotions. You get to choose. And so let's not buy into fear. I don't want to live a life of fear. So I'm choosing very specifically not to put my focus on that.
I think that's even in sickness. There is a lady who handles the news on Carolina Fox. And so she's been absent from the show for a while. They finally revealed what it was. So she had a brain tumor. And I mean, it looked bad, but she chose to believe it was going to be bad. And do you know, I mean, it's like a miracle happened. So, I mean, she still had it and had to go through the surgery and all those kinds of things, but they got it. And normally speaking, that would kill someone. And she just,
absolutely,
she chose to think positive about it.
Absolutely. The thing is, it's so interesting that we're talking about this because literally I've been talking about this on my podcast. When you don't feel good, when something feels yucky, when there's something going on that you're afraid of or that you don't like, first of all, know that it is okay to have those feelings. It's okay not to like something. That is literally your body telling you, this doesn't sit well with me. This is not where this t-shirt is too tight. This, whatever I'm talking about, isn't fitting with me and who I am at my core. So first of all, understanding and acknowledging that, and then shifting your focus from whatever that is to something that does feel good. Even if like something has happened that you like this happened and I don't like the results and those results might be out of your control. Okay. What if instead of focusing on the things that you don't like, the fact that this happened, you imagined the scenario different and it starts to feel good? Now, a lot of people would say, well, then you're just in denial of what really happened. And I'm not saying to pretend it didn't happen. I'm saying imagine what it would feel like if it felt good. Get to a place where you are feeling good. Instead of jumping into the pit of despair where all the stuff you don't like is and trying to sort through it while you're in it, put your focus on something that feels good. Think about a loved one. Think about a vacation. Think about just find something to imagine in your mind that literally makes you happy, that makes you feel good. And now all of a sudden you are outside of that pit of crap looking in on it. And you can sort through it a lot better because you have solid footing, because you feel good, rather than being in it and feeling bad and almost feeling like you're drowning in it. I'm not saying dig your head in the sand and pretend everything's honky-dory. That's where people come up with that terminology. Toxic positivity. That's not what I'm saying to do. I'm saying just for a few minutes, just for a day, let's not look at all the crap. Let's not look at that overdrawn budget. Let's not look at the fact that you need a new car. Let's not look at all the things that are causing you stress. Let's look at how beautiful your children are. Let's look at all the things that you do have. Let's look at the gorgeous sky, or I don't know what, and that sounds so passive and trite and small. Whatever it is that brings you joy, pretend and make it up in your mind. You have a very powerful imagination. Allow that to help you, lift you up, make you feel better. And then once you're there, okay, what's the next logical step for my budget? How do we go about saving for that new car? How do we go about, and because you feel good. And when you start to feel yourself spiral down into that pit, stop. Get up, dance, put up a good piece of music on, go garden, do something, like walk around the block, walk around your house, walk, play with the dog, go take the kids out for a frosty, like whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like just allow yourself that space from that thing, or even just take 5 minutes to breathe and connect to yourself, and then come back to it and approach it and be like, all right, what about this is within my control? When we're looking at world events and things that don't sit right, whether it's politics here at home or if it's stuff that's going on in the world and you're just like, this is not right. Cool. If you start to feel yourself getting oppressed by it, turn away. Look somewhere else. It doesn't mean it's not happening. It doesn't mean you're not aware. It doesn't mean walk through life ignorant. It means walk through life from a place of protecting yourself and your emotions and feeling good, and then turning around and being like, wow, what about that is within my control? Not a whole heck of a lot. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to stress about it because there's literally nothing I can do about it. But what I can do is continue to cultivate my happiness and the love within me and my family and continue to spread that kind of energy, which is going to counter whatever hate is being cultivated by that thing that you disagree with.
And when you're positive, it's contagious.
Absolutely.
Just like negativity is contagious. That is too. Negative Nancy's always something wrong. Like that. But if you're happy, I mean, and I'm not talking about the fake stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If it's real positivity,
but just being positive about stuff. So, and this goes in line with what Victoria said. So Victoria sends a message, and she says, "I used to be a news junkie, and I was miserable all the time, and I watched them all. I watched every single network." She said, "Now that I've limited myself to 30 minutes, I feel better."
I am so proud of you is the first thing I want to say to her is like, congratulations, because especially in today's society, that is really hard to do. And so give yourself a huge pat on the back and like celebrate that, because that is amazing. You are literally protecting yourself. You noticed how you were feeling and you said, what can I do about this? And you did it. And that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I would encourage everyone to do that. And like I said, for me, I don't watch the news. I get my information. I look at the sources, let's say, that I trust, and I just little bits here and there so that I have kind of my hand on the pulse of what's happening in our country, in the world, whatever. But I don't want the details. I don't want anybody else's opinion. I don't want all the crap that comes with any of that. I just want to be, okay, that's what they're doing today. Cool. Is that within the daily decisions that happen in that building or wherever they happen? Do we really have any control of? No. So why are we so focused on it? Why are we so paying so much attention, especially when most of us don't like what's happening? Whether, I'm not saying that you'd like a person or a side or anything like that. Even the people that are like very few people are happy with everything that's happening in our country, right? Like I don't think that I could find somebody who's like, I believe in every single decision they're making. You know what I mean?
No, because this is another thing. A lot of folks think that the people who are in politics, whether that's your local dog catcher or whoever, they think they're God. I mean, they think they're they put them up on this high pedestal as if, and then when they get disappointed because maybe the dog catcher caught too many dogs today, they're going to be griping and slamming that dog catcher forever. I mean, but then they're not thinking, they don't know the job. They don't know everything about that situation. Right. So, and another thing is I choose not, if anybody starts anything, whether it's my side or not on Facebook, I don't follow them anymore.
Right.
Because I don't want to hear it. First of all, I've got a life I've got to live.
Right.
And I've got Donna and Phil's farm here, so I've got that.
Plenty on my plate to worry about.
Yeah, really. You've heard the phrase bloom where you're planted.
Right.
I really believe if you bloom in your little world, if you bloom in it, I think you're going to have a better world. And I think your outreach is going to be better too.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think, yeah. So I'm really proud of. I can't. Did you say her name was
Victoria.
Victoria? Okay, yeah. I think that that's amazing, Victoria, and keep going. And maybe even if that doesn't feel good, turn it off that day. And
I have a really good friend I have good friends who are conservative and on the other side as well. I mean, I just have all kinds of friends like that. And I have one particular friend who's conservative, and I know she means well, but I'm just telling you, it digs into her marriage.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and I've told her, I said, you're going at it too far. I mean, you've got kids. She even has kids and grandkids who won't go around her because it's nonstop. She won't stop.
yeah, yeah. Well, the thing that we have to remember is that even the people that who are those negative negative Nancy is literally clinging to whatever she can to make herself feel good, to be happy, because ultimately that's what we all want, is to live the lives that we want to for ourselves, right? And I don't believe that people are toxic and like, oh, this person is toxic, and we put these labels on. They're this, they're narcissistic, they're arrogant, they're this, they're that. That is actually our perspective of somebody else's life. And it's probably based on their behavior, but that is not who they are. Who are we to say who or what they are? And in every single one of us, you've had bad behavior. I'm confident that you have treated someone poorly. Every single one of us have. And was it intentional? Maybe. But ultimately, does that make us a bad person? Does that make us that thing do we get that label for from here on out? No, it's us literally sifting through whatever it is that's going on in our lives, trying to find some semblance of making it make sense, trying to find some semblance of security, of happiness, of figuring it all out. And you know what? I'm going to say a lot of people aren't doing a good job at figuring it out without affecting and hurting the people around them. And that is largely because they didn't learn how to, because they're continually influenced by those things in society that are bringing them down, that they don't realize that they're as caught up in, because they're just trying to find a stronghold, a footing where, and if we, again, I like to talk about taking that 50,000 foot view. Take yourself out of it and don't make it personal. Take yourself out of it and be like, what is really happening? Why would they be treating me this way? Something must be going on with them, because that has nothing to do with me. And almost 100% of the time, that's going to be true. I've said this on here before. I'm confident. If you say, Donna's mad at me, who's the subject of that sentence? Donna. So whose problem, let's say, is it? Donna's. Does it have anything to do with me? No. Now, she might have an issue with something that I did to her, or you know what I mean? You might have an issue with me, and you can talk to me about that, but it's your issue. So I can't stress out about it, and I can't let it affect me. And I can make sure your behavior doesn't affect me by taking a step back, by not spending that time around you, by giving you some distance while you figure out whether or not you want to talk to me about whatever it is going on with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but sometimes it's body language people read the wrong way. And I'm going to use that for an example. I am a very cold-natured person. I mean, you will see me in the summertime with long sleeves on, especially if you go to church or a building. So I'm just like that.
You might like how you interact with people. And I was like, I'm
always freezing
that from you.
Always freezing. And so one time, one of my friends said, "Are you mad at me about something?" And I'm looking at her like a dog will look at you like, so I had that look at her like, what are you talking about? And she said, you got your arms folded.
Right.
I said, I am freezing to death in your house.
I do that a lot, Donna. Even in my own house, when I'm when I feel like I'm anyway, like we have been told someone somewhere a long time ago said that when somebody's crossing their arms, there's something going on with them. They're blocked off. They're closing themselves off from you.
Not every time.
I'm not going to lie that might be true sometimes, but that is not true for everyone. And what happens is, because we are approaching, looking at the people around us from our perspective, from the things we've been through in life, good, bad, or the other, we create a story. It is inherent, and it's sometimes very challenging to stop yourself. You create a story of what's going on with that person. Case in point, I've been sick these last few weeks. I have not been reaching out to my friends because I can hardly get out of my bed. I'm so much better now. I'm so grateful. But my friend called me yesterday. She's like, Julie, I haven't heard from you in like a long time. What's going on? And I was like, actually, thank you so much for reaching out. I've been thinking about you too. I've been really, really sick. And I sent her this message and I didn't hear back from her. And I was like, and I instantly thought she must be so upset with me. She must be mad because I haven't been reaching out. And I told her I had been thinking about her, but I didn't text her. She texted me. And automatically I start going down this thing and deciding for her that she's mad at me. That is absolutely a story that I'm making up. And it is inherent in every single one of us. Oh, something must be going on with her. Not necessarily. You know what I mean? What if we let people be who they are and decide for themselves if they're mad at you or not? And knowing that if they're really your friend, if they are upset with you, if some of your behavior affected them in a way that they didn't like, they'll talk to you about it or they'll let it go. But you, and I'm not saying be oblivious and treat people like crap and they just have to deal with it. I'm saying live the best life you can. That's what all of us are trying to do.
Well, sometimes it has absolutely nothing to do with you.
It really does.
Nothing. Is that you remind them or you look like someone they detest. And I'll use this for an example. Okay, so Phil and I used to be in the headhunting business. I owned a Snelling franchise, and we would help folks get these high, jobs.
Right.
So I had a lady who was looking for a property manager. And we sent a lot of folks over, sent this one guy over, and this guy had every qualification she was looking for. I mean, he was like perfect. I checked his references and he didn't make it up. You always have to do these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
People pretend, that they're whatever. And this guy was it. And he seemed like he would be easy to take instruction. She was looking for somebody like that. Not that she was a tyrant, because I knew her.
Right.
She said, hire these people and they want to do it their way. I'm looking for somebody. I don't want bad habits of somebody who did this before with another company.
Right.
And I said, I got the perfect one. I mean, this guy's it. I mean, and he'll take your salary. I mean, and make more, but he's willing to start with your salary. So I bring him over and I'm expecting her to say, okay, he's got the job. She said, no. I said, did you uncover something I didn't know? And she said, no. And I said, well, what did you not like about him? And she said, well, I think he could do the job and I think he's probably the best candidate. And I said, well, then why?
And?
Because he's going to go fast. He's going to go somewhere else.
Right.
He had just come into the office. I mean, it was like in the nick of the time, for somebody. And I said, well, okay. I was saving him for you because he sounds exactly like what you're looking for. And she said, okay, he looks like my ex. And she said, I don't think I can deal with that.
Wow.
I said, well, maybe you could grow a mustache and a beard. I mean, I said, he's the best candidate.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. She didn't hire him. She hired someone much less. She did not hire him. I don't think she ever hired him, did she, Phil? No, she didn't. I mean, I just thought it was just crazy. Yeah. So apparently she was hurt really, really bad by the ex, and she just didn't want to remind her. And I mean, I look like my dad. I mean, exactly like him. I mean, a lot of people say, you are your dad with long hair. You are your dad like this. And sometimes my mother can look at me in a strange way because they divorced a long time, many years.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And she still carries that.
Yeah.
And so one day I finally said, okay, I will get facial reconstructive surgery. And you can't help.
But it is important for you to remember that is not just you. And I know you know this, but if someone's in that situation, that it is not about you. It's not about you. It is absolutely about the hangups that other people have. And if we go through, And if we go through life remembering that, we're going to be so much happier because we're not going to be continually trying to please and appease every single person who has other various hangups or expectations of who you are. And so then as you move forward with people in your life, make sure you don't have expectations of who you think someone is either. You know what I mean? Like, obviously there are certain, let's say, qualities and expectations you might have from a friend. And you learn to become friends with them because they meet those expectations, or they meet, and you start to trust them and all of that stuff. But when people behave differently than you might expect, maybe look at that. And are your expectations too high for this person? Do they fit that person? And when you are expecting more from a person than they're capable of giving, you can't really blame them for that, because they're your expectations. And so then you get to take a look at it and think, like, am I expecting more from you than I would anybody else? Am I expecting more from you than you're capable of giving me? And am I okay with that? And sometimes, absolutely, I would rather you in my life and lower my expectations. And sometimes, no, that's bare minimum and you're not cutting it. So I need more from a friend. And that's okay too. You know how I feel about endings.
And this is crazy too, because in the business I'm in, so there are two groups of people who don't know how to take me until they've been on an interview. Politicians, right, because they're afraid I'm going to ram it, down their throat and try to expose them with something, even though I'm probably
there's always a gotcha thing.
Yeah, and I don't do that. And then farmers, a lot of these guys, especially people who live off the land, I personally think they're among the smartest people on earth.
Yeah.
Because they know how to live off the land. And I mean, they know how to do it. And
different kind of smarts, right? It's not book smarts, right, but it's, right. And it might be book smarts. Who the heck do we, like, who am I to say?
This guy, because I had this guy on the show, he is now a regular, like you are. Okay, so a little gruffy looking, but I don't care. This guy's head is so full of knowledge.
Yeah.
But he's looking at me kind of doing this with the crossed arms, but I could tell, well, let's see if she makes fun of me.
He's on the defense. A
lot of media people do.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so I said, oh boy, he's got his guns ready for me. So I said, what do you know about the comfrey plant? And he looked at me and he said, what do you know about the comfrey plant? I said, it's a healing plant. And I told him that I had been out in the garden and I should have been wearing gloves. I had the saw and cutting down some limbs and got this really, really bad blister right here on my hand. I put the comfrey plant, I make a salve out of it. So I put it on my hand and it healed it.
Yeah.
Everyone, even if you're a backyard gardener, even if you live in an apartment, you need to have the comfrey plant. It's healing, like the aloe vera plant is a healing plant as well. So this is if you have nothing, have a comfrey plant. Well, from that point on, I was his. I mean, he just, but I had to prove a point to him. See, sometimes you have to do that. And I could sense it from his body language. Now, not every time, but this one in particular, it was the body language.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that point on, and I said, dude, you're going to be a regular on my show. Just like I like Julia Christine's knowledge. We've got to go into a commercial break and we shall return. Queen City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. We are back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. Central. You know, you can go back. I really don't want you to get in trouble at work, okay? Because I know I'm on when you are at work. You want to watch the show and all this. So a lot of you watch YouTube. And that's great. And also Facebook.com, you can go anytime you want to. So if you want to see shows just of Julia Christine, here's
Yay.
a little go on Facebook, and up in the little menu up there where you can type whatever you want to see, just type in Donna Thiesel, Julia Christine, and it gives you a lineup of every show that we've ever had. So you can go in and look at those. So, and I'm sure Julia will appreciate that too. Julia, how can folks find your podcast?
On any podcast listening platform, it's on all of them. It's Life After Breath. Or you can type in Julia Christine, but Life After Breath is the name of the podcast, and you can find it anywhere. It's on Apple, it's on Spotify, it's on all of them. I don't have a YouTube channel. I know some people listen and watch podcasts rather than just have them on their phone on the go. And so that's the one place that you won't find me, but everywhere else, super easy to find me. You can also look up my JuliaChristineHealer.com. The podcasts are on my website, and that's the best way to find me.
There you go. And I promise you will enjoy every one of them. So if you're feeling a little bit, if you're mad at somebody pulling out in front of you on the road, you know, that's what gets me. If they don't give a signal and they turn left, that sends me, I'm telling you. So if you get that, find Julia Christine. Before you ram,
take a deep breath and say, I hope you get where you're going safely, but you're not going to if you drive like that. Slow down.
No, you're absolutely not. Evelyn sent an email. And okay. Evelyn, first of all, I want to say this. Evelyn, you are a hero. You are a hero in my eyes. I'm just telling you are, because a lot of folks go through divorces and they want to just bash and batter the significant other, which is not a good idea if you have kids involved. Okay. Kids need to be loved by both sides of the family. I will do a disclaimer, incest or something like that. I've got a different view of that. However, if it's just something, okay. So what happened is she has two daughters. And so dad has a relationship with a guy. Okay. And so he married this guy. And so one daughter will have something to do with him. The other one detests him. And she said, and I tell her not to, and then she comes up with reasons that she should hate her ex-husband.
Right.
So she wants to know how she needs to handle this, because she said, I really believe kids need to love both parents no matter what.
Right. Well, the first thing to remember is that, again, taking that 50,000 foot view, I would never say that kids need to love their parents, because I come from an abusive father, and I realized that those are part of the extenuating circumstances you were talking about. And so, of course, but I got to be honest with you, Donna, I lived my entire childhood trying to love my father. I wanted that father-daughter relationship so much. And as an adult, when I got into the process of forgiving my father, I started with, I forgive you for not being the dad I wanted, for not being the dad I expected you to be, because that hurt more than anything else, was that he wasn't around the way I wanted. I wanted a dad-daughter relationship, and I hoped and I poured all my stuff into it. So that was actually unhealthy for me. And I mean, I have no regrets, but to continue to try to pour love into someone who wasn't going to love me back was actually hard. And so I think the first thing to do is to allow yourself first, and then your children, to figure this out and be there to support them, but allow them to feel their feelings. And by not telling them to hate their dad, you also kind of need to not tell them to love their dad, to realize that we are all, like I said before, literally trying to live our best lives and figure out how to make us as happy as possible. And a lot of times, what happens in our society, and I have experience with this with family members and friends, we feel like we have to conform to be what we're supposed to be. And that happens with people who like it happens from day one, from like literally we ask 3-year-olds what they want to be when they grow up. How about we let them be a 3-year-old and figure that out when they, but
Yeah.
literally, like, our society is set up to train us. You go to school, you go to school, you go to school, you go to work, and that's your life. And what if that doesn't work for you? What if you want to try this and this and this and so anyway, I'm going off subject, but a lot of times what happens is people feel like they have to live a certain life, and maybe that actually is about their sexuality as well. Men, well, everyone is told from the beginning. We see it everywhere now, men and women, period. And now our society has opened up to same-sex relationships in a massive way, which is, I think, really healthy, because then we see other things. And I know sometimes they're like, you can do what you want, but I don't want to see it. Great. They probably feel that way about watching men and women kiss, and yet they are inundated with it every single day. And so, like, when you take yourself out of it for just a second, your beliefs, your all those things, and just realize that people just want to be themselves and they just want to be happy. And if you get that, then so do they. And so, like, if you get to be yourself and be happy, you wouldn't want to do anything to stop someone else from being themselves and being happy. And there's a lot of hurt in that, because we promised each other that we would love each other forever. And you promised me that. And I would bet, obviously not knowing the situation, that he does love her and that he did love her. And yet he wasn't being true to himself. And so I honestly applaud them for moving away from that situation, whether they did it together or not, and allowing themselves to fully be who they are. And they can still love each other through that. And it hurts. And I'm not taking that away. And I'm not taking the turmoil that comes with that away. But you allowing, whether with love or not, you allowing this man to be his full self is the best thing you can do for your daughters, is to show them that people are allowed to be who they are. You are too. And your dad loves you and wants to be a part of your life. And if you need to step back for now, that's okay. But remember that this thing that happened has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with me. I mean,
So let's talk about Evelyn for a minute. So I responded back, and so I just asked if he had done something to them that she knew of, and she said no. It's just that they just got a divorce, and she apparently, she didn't say this, but reading between the lines, her parents had gotten a divorce and were at each other's throats. And that happens. And then I've seen this happen so many times. It happened with my parents.
Yeah.
Where they get a divorce and they try to turn you against the other one, or one did more than the other one.
Yeah.
And so she really touched me when she sent this message that no, he hasn't done anything to the girls. He's just got one that doesn't necessarily accept his decision, but she still has something to do with him. He's still her dad, but the other one is just backed out and said, no way.
And that's okay. And she can understand that and support it. She can explore it. And I mean, Evelyn can ask why and ask her to, like, have you thought about maybe looking at this from a different perspective? And would you really, and if a daughter comes to Evelyn and says, like, how can you be okay with this, and how can you, like, why don't you hate him more and stuff like that, that's where she gets to be an example for her daughters and say, because I realize it doesn't have anything to do with me. I realize that your dad loved me and loves you for sure, but he loved me the best he knew how, but he wasn't being true to himself. And I want you to live your best life, and I want me to live my best life, and I want him to live his best life. And if he is happier and more true to himself by being with a man, then I got to give that to him. And it's the biggest gift I could give him. And allowing him to be who he is. And you don't have to accept that right now. But maybe what if it was a little like what if that were true? And because it is true, but we get so in our heads about the way things are supposed to be. Men are supposed to be with women. You married my mom. You are supposed to be here and you're supposed to check all the boxes of what it means to be a husband and what it means to be a dad. But guess what? You don't get to decide what that means for other people. And that's where our expectations can get in the way. And I get it. I'm assuming this man still wants to be in their lives and still wants to be their father, but it sounds to me like the children have like shut that off, or at least the one has been like, I don't want to have anything to do with you. And that's cool, because I got to a point where I was like, okay, I've been burned too many times. I don't want to have anything to do with you, with my dad as an adult. But it's okay to get to that point. And hopefully by you being an example, Evelyn, of look, I get it. It hurts. But when you are not finished, but as you process the pain and the hurt, remember that it doesn't have anything to do with you, that his love for you hasn't changed. And you might not believe or agree with his choices, but they're his choices. And so we got to let him have that. Just like it's your choice not to talk to him right now. It's okay for you to step back. But I'd love for you to consider that maybe this doesn't have anything to do with you. We were not attacked. Nothing happened. Nobody did anything to us.
Well, let me ask you this. Could it be Evelyn? Could it be Evelyn? Evelyn is so wanting to be the perfect mother. Is Evelyn pushing it too much? I mean, could she be? I don't know the whole situation, but I'm just wondering. I would mention it to my son. I would say, yes, your dad. You got to love your dad no matter what you think. I mean, you've got to love your dad. It's just, you have to. Unless there's some kind of abuse.
That's where I'm going to disagree with you just a little bit, because I can't make you love somebody. Mm-hmm. You've got to love your dad. No, you don't. You don't. I would encourage you to have an open mind about why you don't. Ask yourself why you're saying you don't.
That's what I'm saying.
Where is that coming from? And question it. But I think saying you have to do this, you have to spend time with your dad. Mm-hmm. I would step back from that and allow these girls to process what's happening on their own terms the way they need to, and also at the same time be an example of how to do that, mm-hmm. of how to move forward and allow people to be themselves, just the same way you're allowing them to process their grief, their anger, mm-hmm. literally. I'm confident that that's what that has to do with. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily have to do with even the sexuality choices, quote unquote, which that's a whole other story. But like it has to do with grief and anger and what that means and what it looks like to their friends and what are my friends going to think my dad's with a man, like that whole, there's so much. I don't know how the ages of the girls or anything. So I don't know that. I think that I don't know if Evelyn needs to back off, but like so there, I've talked about this before. When you're riding a horse, I'm not a horse rider, but I'm given to understand that if you hold on too tight because you're trying to control the horse that you're riding, you're out of control, because the horse can't tell what it is that you want because you're holding on too tight. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if you let go of the reins, then you're out of control as well. Mm-hmm. But if you loosen your grip and allow the reins to rest in your hands, you have control of the horse, of where you're going, and you just have much more control of the situation. And so that's what I would encourage Evelyn to do, is allow. Just take your grip and loosen it up just a little bit. Don't completely let go, of course, but loosen up just a little bit and allow them to process. Allow yourself to process, and allow them to go through the hatred and the bitterness and continue to remind them, this is not about you. Mm-hmm. And it feels like it's about you. It feels like he left you. And And even if that's true, again, like I said before, let's take that sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad left you. That's what it feels like. Who is the subject of that sentence? It's not about you. It's about your dad. Your
Mm-hmm.
dad had to rediscover, and that he doesn't regret having you. He doesn't regret the choices he made because it led to you. But he has to be true to himself, just like I want to encourage you to be true to yourself. Be true to these emotions for right now.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe allow yourself to take into consideration that we're all just trying to be happy
No,
and do
instead we don't know all the variables. I mean, I
absolutely
don't know the whole thing about it. So, and that's why I'm wondering about Evelyn. Okay, maybe because I've mentioned this several times on the show. When you get a divorce from somebody, don't bash the other one.
right.
So the reason I'm calling her a hero is she's not bashing the guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I went through the situation where there was bashing with the parents,
Yeah.
and that made me want to just turn away from everybody. I mean, it's just like I don't, I don't necessarily. It's not. You're not divorcing me. You're divorcing each other. So I don't know why you're dragging me into this.
Right.
So
Right.
and so
Well,
I'm
and
wondering if she's trying so hard not to bash him that she's being a little bit overbearing.
it's possible, and that's where I mean, honestly, even with the overbearing, I would continue to offer the same advice, which is just allow yourself to loosen those fists just a little bit. Allow yourself to rest in the fact that even this choice, even though it feels like it so directly affects you, it has nothing to do with you. And you're allowed to be upset.
Mm-hmm.
You're allowed to be upset. You're allowed to want to smash his face in. Go do that in your room because you don't want to do that in front of your children. Like, trust me, my mom never said an ill word about my alcoholic, gambling, drug addict father, abusive father.
Mm-hmm.
She never said a negative word about him. She would always honestly answer us. He called one day collect, and I, for some reason, just knew. And I was like, "Is he in prison?" And she was like, "Yeah." She wasn't going to lie to me about it, but she's not going to say you're, you know, no good dude of a father is got himself in jail again. You know what I mean? Like, she would never.
Mm-hmm.
She would absolutely be thinking that, but she wouldn't say that to us. So I
Um,
think that there's a difference between like, no, 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 he's great. No, 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 he's great. No, no, no. Allow them to feel their feelings, whether they're good, quote unquote, or bad, quote
it
unquote.
sounds like you could go to the extremes both ways.
Absolutely. Of course you can. And that's where you loosen the reins. You're
Mm-hmm.
not letting go, which is an extreme, and you're not holding on, which is an extreme. You're allowing the reins to sit, and you're processing this stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
you're allowing your own reins to sit, and then you're allowing the reins of your daughters to sit as well and allow them to process. The more you can do that, the more they're going to be able to do that because they're going to follow your example and they're going to feel that from you. They're going to feel that you love them enough to let them process this
Mm-hmm.
and talk to your ex about it and say, look, let's give her some time. She's got to feel this way right now. We're working on it. Give her some space.
It could be he's demanding,
And
and I want her on my side right now. I want her to.
well, and that's the other thing is that there is no side. There is no side in
I know.
any of
I
this.
was
And,
just.
and if there is a side, it's the side of the children. And here are two, like, and that is a perspective that if she felt necessary, she could bring to her daughter and say, I know you feel like he left you and that he doesn't love you and that and that you're mad at him for all of these things, but he loves you. He's trying to have a relationship with you. So he hasn't left you.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't left you. He wants this relationship with you. And if you're not okay with it, that's okay for, but maybe consider these. Give them options of, have you considered this? What if? Isn't it interesting
How about
that?
giving them time to breathe?
Yeah,
Man,
that's what
let
I
them
mean.
breathe.
That's what I mean.
For a few
Don't
minutes.
here's the thing. As much as we want what's best for our children and we want to make sure that they feel this way and they feel this way, we are not in control of their emotions. We have no idea how the other things that are going in their lives. Like I said, she could be angry because of what one of her friends said about her dad being married to a man. Like that could be where all of it is stemming from.
Could be a
And
million
so
things.
that's where we have to allow children to process the way they do and be an open door for them to talk to me about this. Where is this coming from? How do you really feel about this? Is it literally just because of what he did to me? Because if that's the case, I
Mhm.
need you to know I'm okay.
Mhm.
In fact, I'm better because if he wasn't happy here, I don't want to be with a man who's not happy. Let's go find a man who is. You know what I mean? And I want to show you what love can be. And love is allowing someone to be their true, authentic self.
But it's not even about just relationships. It could be about anything. I think you'd agree with this. Okay, so I have one friend who overeats. She eats out every day. It's always burgers and fries and it's all this kind of stuff. Then I have another friend who lives off of lettuce, basically. So I'm somewhere in between the two. Exactly. So I don't want to go out to lunch with either one of them because with one of them, okay, you're not eating enough. I mean, and then the other one is you just eat way too much. And I'm like, well, you sit and eat lettuce leaves all the time.
They say that to you?
Yeah, they have done that. And so I'm like, I mean, they don't necessarily say it that way, but it's just like, the one who overeats will look at your food like, you don't eat anything, do you? And then
I want to say something. That has to do with her. Mm-hmm. That has to do with her insecurity about how much she eats.
That's my point.
About her knowing that she probably shouldn't be eating. I hate using that word, but there are probably other choices she could be making about her food. And she's not. And so then she feels bad. And so then she says something to you because it makes her feel better. See what I mean? It's just about trying. Every single thing that people do is literally about them trying to make themselves feel better, feel good.
The point, because my friend who eats lettuce every day and nothing else, she won't even have salad dressing on it. So this friend who eats lettuce every day, I mean, she's sickly all the time too. So both of them are sick all the time because they go from one extreme to the other.
Yeah, because they're living in extremes and they're not listening to their bodies and they're not living their lives. They're following the protocols that they've learned from here, there, and everywhere. I remember when we used to eat eggs all the time. And then I think I was a teenager and all of a sudden this report came out that eggs were the worst thing for you and everybody stopped eating eggs. And now the reports are out and they're like, eggs are fine. Obviously with anything, eat them in moderation. If you only eat eggs all day, every day, yeah, your cholesterol is going to skyrocket because that's the way anything works. You know what I mean? But are eggs bad for you? No. And so that's the thing is that we get on these things and we follow what the fads are and what everybody's talking about. And there's more of that now than there ever has been. Stop. Just stop. Turn it off and listen to your body. Listen to yourself. What feels good for you? Follow that.
I listen to all kinds of advice. Okay, farmers and everybody who have been doing this for an entire lifetime. So one farmer, and I listen, but it doesn't mean I'm going to obey. I mean, I've got to factor it all out. So one farmer friend is going to say, you know what, you need to do free range. Those chickens need to be out. But there are a lot of hawks in my area. They have to be contained some way, or they're going to get killed by a hawk. And I'm talking about their big ones. I've seen them. They are in this area. So, and I listen to that. So I'm somewhere in between. We keep them contained is what I like to say. They're not free range where they can run off on somebody else's land. I mean, it's nothing.
Right.
But then you've got these other people who want to keep them like with no
stacked
space
on top of each other. Yeah.
So you just have to think there are variables about everything. There is no set way. There's just not one.
There's not. And that's where we can get into the whole thing about there's no right or wrong. And because what's right for me might not be right for you, but that doesn't make it wrong for me. And we can play this game of going round and round and round and round. And how about we don't worry about what anybody else thinks or what anybody else is doing with their lives, how anybody else is eating. You eat the way you need to eat. Does it feel good? Does it really feel good to eat out every day?
Your body better than I do.
Exactly.
If I eat a lot of sugar, I'm telling you, I get a sugar high. I mean, it's like I feel like my head is going to spin off. Well, I'm not right when somebody eats 2 donuts because it's not doing them that way. I mean, not, but it's not my
train your body. Yeah. I can tell you as someone who used to eat fast food all the time, I had a huge weight loss transformation and someone who didn't take care of how they ate and I know that person doesn't love their meals at a time. It's what they know. It's what they find comfort in. There's all kinds of things that have to do with how that person eats. Same thing with the person who only eats lettuce. She is probably so hyper aware of every ounce that her scale fluctuates and so freaked out about it, that
She
she has allowed herself to only eat lettuce. Who wants to live that way? You know what I mean? And how
know.
it actually
The
makes me
variety of
sad
I like
because
the
it's like
variety of
I
life.
want. Sorry.
I like the variety of life.
Absolutely. I like for everybody to live their best life. I like for you to find what feels good for you and do that. Because my diet, the way I eat, seriously, the way I eat, Donna, would not work for you. It won't. The way you eat wouldn't work for me. It doesn't work for my body. My body loves the way I eat. You know what I mean? I one of my very best friends, I don't eat meat anymore. And he's like, I do not understand how you can eat. And like, we'll go out or we'll eat here and I will cook for him. I made him meatloaf. I've made him all kinds of stuff. And I make this food for him and he's eating this huge plate of food. And I've got like potatoes and green beans and like, and, and he's like, is that all you're eating? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, no, you need to eat more. I'm like, actually, no, I don't. And like, and I couldn't eat how he's eating. And at the same time, he's not overweight. He's not like, he's just a big guy and needs to fill up. And so fill up. You know what I mean? Like, what works for you isn't what works for everybody else. And that is, not only is that okay, that's a good thing. What were you saying?
You met my husband. He's tall, skinny. He's 6'2", could eat an entire cake at bedtime and never going to announce. I mean,
exactly.
No,
exactly.
He can sit and eat a lot more than I can and never gain anything.
So how can we say that only eating lettuce is going to work for everybody? It's not. We're all so different, outside, inside, mentally, emotionally, spiritually.
Well, that was your DNA,
Allow yourself
that kind of thing.
Enjoy your uniqueness. And that goes with how you eat, how you dress, how you speak, how you love. Like literally allow and remember that that's true for everybody around you. We're just trying to figure it out. We're all trying to figure it out. Don't create stories about what somebody else is doing or thinking. There are so
many different churches out there because everybody has their own way that they worship God.
Sure. I mean, everybody has their own way look, we all have absolutely, you've heard me say this before, we have absolutely different perspectives from the moment you're born. How that doctor treats you, that very first experience is different for you than it was for me. So we definitely, like, that starts everything. How we were grown in our mother's bellies was different for you than it was for me. And so, like, how we can expect to be the same when we are vastly different. We have vastly different perspectives. And this is what I often say, is that there is no such thing, and this is controversial, so I'm a little hesitant to say it, you can tell. There's no such thing as reality. Because your reality, your perspective of what's happening right now, of this conversation, is very different from mine just because of how we were raised, let alone all the factors. Do you know what I mean? And all of our opinions and all of the things that we've established.
We're more the same than you think we are.
I agree. But at the same time, even if we had the exact same beliefs, Donna, our perspectives are completely different. How we got to those beliefs is different.
If we had the same beliefs, we would have the most boring show on earth.
Oh my God. You see what I mean? Like,
and we got to go, girl. We got to go. We went just a little bit over.
Okay,
Thank
sorry.
you so much. Okay, real quick, how can folks find the podcast?
Any podcast.
Yours.
Any way you listen to a podcast, come and listen to Life After Breath. Apple, Spotify, those are the top two. But then there's Castbox or something like that. There's all kinds of apps to listen to podcasts through. You'll find me on all of those. Life After Breath, JuliaChristineHealer.com.
Thank you so much. And thank you guys so much for watching. Absolutely.
Oh, yes. And writing in. Yeah.
Donna at Donna'sEdge.com. Donna at Donna'sEdge.com. Thank you for all the emails you're sending. I definitely appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future. at Northeast Alabama Community College.